Hello, my name is Ladoris Bias Davies, storyteller. The title of my story is Building Bridges, a multicultural folk tale from the southern United States retold by me. Jonas and Jeremiah were the very best of friends. They played high school football together, watched their kids through growing pains together in colleges and marriages. Now they are old and enjoying their golden years as best friends. During the week, they are back and forth from each other's house, not talking about anything in particular, but the wives are happy because they say they're not getting underfoot. They live in a small, friendly farm community, and on Wednesdays they go together with the families to Bible study. And on Saturdays, without fail, Jeremiah goes to Jonah's house for fresh baked bread and hot coffee. And on Sunday, after church, they are at Jeremiah's house. Jonas and goes to Jeremiah's house for checkers and apple cider without fail. But one day, they stop talking. They stop visiting, avoiding each other at all cost. What happened? Well, it appears that a young calf somehow got into Jeremiah's pasture. He said it was his. But Jonah says no, it looks like his cow and it has to be his. So essentially they are calling each other liars and saying that the other is a thief. And they stop being friends. There's a dark cloud that comes over both of them, and friends are divided. This goes on for more than a week, and people are concerned, and people start to take sides. Well, it's the next Saturday early. Jonas's wife says to him, I'm going to put some bread in the oven and make some coffee. I want you to invite Jeremiah over and fix this. It's out of hand. Well, he's at fault. He should come to me first. I shouldn't have to invite him. Honey, remember what we discussed in Bible study? About being tenderhearted, loving one another, forgiving one another? Him first. He is your very best friend. Don't let the enemy steal your joy. And she leaves the room. There's a knock on the door. And Jonas opens the door. There's a clean-cut young man standing there, and he says, I'm a carpenter. I work with my hands, and I'm pretty good. If you could see yourself clear to give me some work, I'd really be grateful. Jonas said, a carpenter, huh? Did you learn a trade? I learned it from my father, sir. I'm a carpenter's son. So Jeremiah, come in. He's looking him over, and he likes what he sees. Come on in. I've got some work for you at that. You see that window right there? Look out of that window. My neighbor's property is over there. We used to be best friends until he stole from me. And you see where there's a creek running right through where the property line was? Wasn't always there. He flooded it so he could separate us. If he wants separation, I'll show him separation. I want you to build a high fence so I don't have to look at him or his property again. The young man said, sir, I'm sure you love your neighbor. Well, I used to. Well, if you want to love somebody, the best thing is to love them or see them as God sees them, even though you think they've done you wrong. Okay. There's stuff in the shed. There's a whole lot of lumber and everything you need is in the shed. So you got your tools. So I'm going to go to town. I'll be back later. Now, young fella, you understand what you're supposed to do? Yes, sir, I sure do. So Jonas goes to town. The young man goes in the shed. He sees things for fencing and much more. So he's taking things down to the creek, and he's laying out his tools. He's assessing the situation. Jeremiah comes over. He said, you met that trader, huh? I understand he hired you for something. Your friend hired me, yes. He's no friend of mine. Sir, if I may say, no, we can ask God to help us pray for the person we're at odds with. and he'll help us change our hearts. I'm just saying. Well, you know what? My wife said I'm just as stubborn as a mule, but she says the mule has more sense. Yeah. But I got to be going. I got to go to town. I'll see you later. So the young carpenter is just measuring and sawing and hammering, and he's just working so diligently. And he's just working and singing. Now neighbors are stopping by. And some of them stop and leave, and some of them stay. They're coming and going all afternoon. And he is working. They don't ask a question. They just look. And one ventures to ask, young fella, what you doing? I'm supposed to be building a fence to separate one neighbor from the other. Not looking much like a fence, if you don't mind me saying so. And another one said, those two? Just a bunch of nonsense. They're carrying on a bunch of nonsense. That's what it is. So he is just working diligently. He's working all afternoon. And he's starting to sing more. Bridge over troubled waters. Woo! He is working so hard. And eventually, Jonas comes back from his trip to town. And he looks. And he is very surprised. Jeremiah comes back. And he looks. He is astonished. And they say, it's a bridge. And the crowd remains, says, yeah, a bridge over troubled waters, you might say. So Jeremiah and Jonah walk slowly toward each other, then more rapidly, and they hug each other, and they both say, I'm sorry, forgive me, it's your calf. Jonas turns to the young man, and he says, young fellow, I guess you did know what to do after all. And as the young fellow is packing up his tools, Jonas asks him, are you leaving? But first of all, tell me your name. I really never caught your name. Who are you? And the young fellow says, I'm just a humble carpenter's son, sir. Well, you can't leave yet. We have more work for you to do. Everybody said, yeah, we could use you around here. Thank you so much. But you see, I must be going because I have more bridges to build. So with that, he left, waving and smiling and singing. Gonna lay down my burden, down by the waterside, down by the waterside. He was just singing. And so, Jeremiah said, a carpenter's son, huh? Interesting. And Jonah said, yeah. And he just happened to be here for such a time as this. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow. Gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside. Thank you so much for listening.